Yes. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. God bless you. I welcome you once again to Ethereum Mission UK. And to you, our online streamers, I humbly welcome you once again. Today, they call it Good Friday. And as I was coming, I was asking myself, what makes a day where supposedly, or whatever way you want to put it, a day that someone is to be captured and killed, what makes that day a Good Friday? Yes, we say it's Good Friday, but what makes it good? Someone is going to die. So what makes it good? But at the end of this teaching today, we will come to understand why it's a Good Friday. This is the first part of our teaching for the Easter celebration. And the first part is about the crucifixion and the death of Christ. This day, as we call it Easter, is pinned on some historical celebrations of the past. The day Easter, as you have realized, it changes from every year to every year. And usually it falls between March 21st to April 25th of every year. That is when we celebrate Easter. Every year, I don't remember the date of last year's celebration. But it's not the same date as we are having this year. It changes. And the reason being that is, it is the first Sunday after the first full moon, or the March equinox. Well, these scientists, they will put some big meanings to words. March equinox. Equinox simply means the sun crossing above the earth equator. That is all that it means. So whatever big name they will put to it, it tells you it is just the sun crossing above the earth's equator, or the start of spring in the northern hemisphere, or autumn in the southern hemisphere. Let's forget about the terminologies for now. The scientists will understand. But let us dwell on something significant that is happening during this time of the year. As we were coming, we were getting ready to come, Melina was standing in the sun, and she said, "Oh, I feel very warm. I'm enjoying the sun." Now, what does that tell you? There are so many people, when the sun comes out, we feel so good. They say when there's full moon, there are some people that can even go crazy. That is to tell you, there are certain things that are happening in this world, and they all have effect on all of us. I'll remind you once again of what Nikola Tesla said. If you want to understand the secrets of this world, think of it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations. If you want to get the secrets of this world, think of it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations. In this very moment that we find ourselves in, there is something very wonderful happening in this world. We call it the beginning of spring. And what does spring bring to mind when we say spring? What comes to mind? When we were coming once again, I was observing things all around me, and I saw some woman going to either B&Q or home base to get some flower pots, right? Why is she going for flower pots at this time? Because The winter is gone, isn't it? We are now in what? Spring. Something new is what? Springing. So the frequency of the moment, it's something new springing in the universe. And for something new to spring, something old must go for something new to come. After the teaching, we will know that certainly it is what? A good Friday. Well, Christians have imposed something that is happening around this time to what they think is also happened around this time, and that is the death, the crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection of what? Jesus. And when we talk about the crucifixion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus, what comes to mind is the fact that, yes, Jesus has come to die to save us from what? From sin. Well, the sin that we will continue to commit, Jesus, they say, has come to die to save us from that, isn't it? However, in the third mission, we choose the interpretation that honors us and promotes what? Life. So, Jesus, they say, is died on the cross to save us. Save us from what? So, if in the third mission, we are choosing an interpretation that honors us and promotes life, then we have come to the awareness that Jesus' death is to awaken us to the truth about our lives. The truth about who and what we are. Jesus stood firmly for this truth, and for that reason, he was crucified. Now he died so that you equally will arise to this truth about your life. It was very, very blasphemous in the time of Jesus to say, you are God. Very, very, very blasphemous to say that. But Jesus stood the grounds, and for that reason, he was killed. In the third mission, our guru makes mention of something that I have come to love so much. And I've come to learn so much of that. And that is the wave that emerges of the ocean emerges with all the attributes of the ocean. Is that true? Is it true?
Sure.
Excellent. So, if we also emerged of God, we therefore emerged with all the attributes of what? Of God in our elementary empires, isn't it? If that is the case, we are all small gods in expression. Remember our vision call, isn't it? We are here to do God and to be gods of truth and love, isn't it?
Sure.
So we are what? Gods of truth and love. And that is the reason why Jesus died. He died to awaken you to this truth. Oh yes, there is power in the blood. The blood is saved us. In fact, Judas is in trouble today. Many people are cursing Judas for what he did. And for that, we are enjoying of the blood. Oh, the blood. Oh, when you go to some churches, they say, oh, I immerse myself in the blood of Jesus. Because when they do that, whatever they want, they will get. Now when you immerse yourself in the blood of Jesus, witches cannot even come to you. They say so many things about the blood of Jesus. Once again, we are choosing an interpretation that honors us and promotes life. So the blood, the voice of the blood that is in you states that claim your divinity and live by it. Remember, just as the wave has emerged of the ocean with the attributes of the ocean, you have also emerged of God with the attributes of God. So you are also what? Divine. So now, step in that state of your divinity. Live it, claim it, and be one with that. The voice of the blood is also telling you one thing. It's telling you, I am dynamic love in action. Now let's take our minds back to what happened on the cross once again. Even when, before he got to the cross, Gangalia Peter, you know Gangalia? Oh yeah, Gangalia is gang leader. Yes, that is what we call Gangalia. Peter. Peter, when Jesus was to, I don't know if by now in history he would have been captured by now. When Jesus was to be captured, the Gangalia, Peter, he took the knife, and what did he do? He cut the ear of one of the soldiers, isn't it? And what did Jesus do? Put it back. Well, someone is saying, why didn't Jesus say, throw the knife away? Well, Jesus knew very well that everything in its rightful place is the best. So the knife is equally what? Needed. Maybe when they are walking in the bush and they need to cut some grass, Peter will use the grass. But at that particular moment, the knife was not supposed to be used for what Peter used it for. So Jesus rebuked him. Jesus was still in the spirit of love. He was dynamic love in what? In action. So when Peter cut the ear of this person, what did Jesus do? He healed this man. Jesus, someone who is coming to catch you, to go and crucify you. If your disciple is cut off the ear, why heal the person? But Jesus had claimed his dynamic love in action. That is the voice of the blood in you telling you. The voice of the blood in you is also telling you, I transcend self-preservation. Another deep one. Self-preservation. No. I'm saving myself. You see, there are some of us, we walk away from challenges. There are some of us, when in our interaction, we meet or we face some little challenges with our friends, our family, we step away. We don't want to associate ourselves with some people because we think they are trouble. They cause us what? Trouble. So we want to save ourselves. But remember, what happens when the sun meets the clouds? We know that here in the television. What happens? When the sun meets the clouds, what happens? I'm not there, and what happens afterwards? Yes. The sun does not save itself. The sun does not run away from the clouds. What happens is it bursts into a spectrum of what? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colors. The sun does not save itself. It steps into its divine love in action. And when it meets the clouds, it says, who? I've met the clouds. Let me show the clouds what awesome me that I am. So when you meet challenges, when you meet people who may present themselves in ways that you think, let me save myself from this person. I don't want to associate myself with that person. That is the moment your divine self is being called into what? Action. The voice of the blood in you, it's saying you need to deny yourself. You need to restrict yourself. In many instances, we say the spirit is what? Willing. Why do we say that many a time? It's because we first see ourselves from our human self. So we will say, today, we are stepping into our spiritual selves. We are coming to that awareness that we are spirit beings having what? Spiritual experience. Well, previously, we would say we are spirit beings having human experience. But now, we are spirit beings having what? Spiritual experience. So, we are to die today to our human self. And we rise to our spiritual self. Are we ready to do that? Yes, we are ready to do that. So, in Galatians chapter 2, verse number 20, it reads, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I. But Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Well, someone may interpret this as saying, oh, Jesus once again, he died to save me, isn't it? But as I said, he died so that you will awaken to the truth about yourself. You will awaken to the Christ within. You will awaken to the virtues of God that you have emerged with in this life. And you let that virtues live in and through you. After all, didn't he tell you? If you want to follow me, you have to take up what? Your own cross. Don't help him carry his own cross. You have to carry your own what? Cross. And then you come and follow him. What is your cross today? That your cross is what you have to die to so that you will be able to what? Follow Jesus. Well, our guru will tell you now, if you follow me, I will not what? No. He's been saying this all the time. If you follow me, I will not what? Lead. And if you lead me, I will not what? Let us walk side by side. Because we are all working on what? Our own salvation. Yes, we are all working on our own salvation. I had a conversation with this man, an Indian, interestingly, by name Davis Thomas. Well, I was hoping to hear Davis Patel or something else, but he said his name is Davis Thomas. And in the conversation, he asked me, "Are you a Christian?" I said, "Oh, Christian." This identity. Well, I told him, to be a Christian or to call yourself a Christian has become more of a cliche, isn't it? Some people may call themselves Christians, but they don't even know what a Christian certainly means. So I told him, I prefer to call myself a universal being. A universal being not emotionally attached to any religion, but I embrace the beauty of all religions. Now, when you are not emotionally attached to any religion, you step into your spiritual self. So in this case, when you observe the Buddhist, when you observe the Muslim, and you think something awesome is happening in their religion, you what? You embody it. You are not being restricted to, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, and that is it. No. You are a spiritual being. Die to the old self that has restricted you to, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am a Buddhist, and rise to the consciousness that you are a spiritual being here on earth. And in that consciousness, you embrace the good of whatever religion that is there on earth. So, we Athenians, we embrace the Muslims, isn't it? Oh. Who is our technical man in Ghana? What is his name? Wale. And he's a Muslim. And he practices some of our technologies so beautifully. When you have a chat with him and he's even telling you some of the practices that we do, you said, wow, this guy, he's learning a lot. And I know some Ethereans, the Muslims are in the month of Ramadan, isn't it? Yeah. They are fasting with them. They are fasting with the Muslims. Hey, to the mainstream Christians, how dare you go fast with the Muslims? Because they say Jesus is what? The way, the only way, the truth, and the life. And the light. You see, Jesus, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And no one comes to the Father except through me. Yes, so they think Jesus is the only way. But in a Tio mission, what do we say? We say this. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, what he meant was, live as per how I am living. Do the things as I am doing. And one of the things that Jesus said is, pray for your enemies. Love them who persecute you. Yes. Very, very challenging, isn't it? Yes. Very, very, very challenging. He says, do as I am doing. And when you are able to do as I am doing, you will be able to what? See the face of God. Mm-hmm. So what he was doing, the consciousness of Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Mm-hmm. So if you walk that way, you will certainly be able to see the face of God. In this moment of our lives, just as Jesus also went through, he went through some moments of pain. He went through physical pain, isn't it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Imagine your hands put on a cross. They said that the nail was, how many inches was it? 8 inches.
Can you ask me a question?
How long? 12 inches, yeah. Wow, that's a long one. Mm-hmm. It's a long one. And even before that, he had to carry the cross until someone helped him, right? And the cross, I think it was more than 23 kilos, right? Even if he was traveling on an aeroplane with it, they would charge him extra luggage, yeah, for that cross. It's a very, very heavy cross. He had to carry this cross all the way to Golgotha. And then he had to be put on the cross. And then he had to be nailed. What a physical pain could that be? Hi. And then he went through emotional pain. He went through so much emotional pain. But in the midst of all these things, what did he say? Remember what he said on the cross? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Ignorance, they say, is what? Is bliss. In the midst of this pain, in the midst of this physical and emotional pain, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Well, I'll do a divine gossip today. And this is a divine gossip. Just over a week ago, someone drove into our sister's beautiful car. And then when he drove into the beautiful car, the person ran away. The person ran away. And in fact, as she was narrating, when she went home, she was very, very upset. And even when we were coming and she was narrating the story again, she felt very, very upset once again. It means there's a card that is being established in her life. She needs to process herself. Right? She needs to process herself. Now, you know she's a mystic, don't you? She is. She's a very good one too. Wonderful one. But in that moment, she felt, I have to do something to this person. Why should he drive into my car and just run away just like that? I have to do something to this person. You know one thing? I'm coming, don't worry, it's not okay. You know one thing? Jesus, at that very moment, he could have called or summoned angels to come and fight on his behalf, couldn't he? But what did he do? He said, Father, Father, forgive them. In your moment of pain, what do you proclaim? In your moment of emotional pain, what do you proclaim on the very ones who supposedly caused you that pain? Thank you. If you do that, the Christ within you is coming into his full what? Expression. So in that moment of pain, say, Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Jesus gave us the way, isn't it? So we have to walk that path. It's not easy anyway. It's not easy. But when you are able to do it, you are free. You are free. A friend of mine in a conversation over the week was asking me, imagine you go to see your wife in bed with another man. What would you do? What would you do in that moment? You see your wife in bed. Or say, okay, it's a lot of women here, so you see your husband, isn't it? Yeah, let's use that one, yes. So you see your husband in bed with another woman. What would you do? In that moment, but I think the friend was sharing his story to me because he once told me he's been sacked from the house. And so I think he did something crazy and then he's been sacked. What would you do? Well, in that moment, as we've been hearing some stories, it's a moment of what? Madness. And so many things can happen to you. So many things can happen to you. You can be violent. You can even kill, isn't it? In that moment. Because it's a huge pain that a person, perhaps you have grown beyond that level. So you think it's what? Something small. But our guru will tell you, you have not been what? Tempted hard enough. There could be a moment of pain that will hit you hard. And you realize you are in your moment of what? Madness. In that moment of madness, call forth the God expression in you to come into manifestation. We have to die to our old self. And we have to spring anew in our God consciousness. But believe you me, this spiritual journey is no joke. It comes with a lot of practices. Imagine you are a boxer and you don't train before you get into the ring. What are you going there for? To be killed, isn't it? The boxers, the professional ones, they fight 3 times 12, isn't it? 3 minutes for 12 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be 3 times 12 is what? 36 minutes. But just think of how many hours, how many days they train. Think of it. They train for many months. many hours before they step into the ring to fight for what? 36 minutes. So if you don't train and you step in the ring, you are there for someone who has trained to what? Kill you. Well, sometimes when they get into the ring, some of the boxers will tell you the training, the skills that they have learned before jumping in there, they forget it. But at least the endurance that they got when they put themselves in that training is still there. And they are still able to what? Manage the situation. What does that tell you? It tells you, use the practices here in the Ethereum mission that helps you to awaken to the Christ consciousness within you. And when you meet the situation in real life, you have the skill, you have the power within you to be able to face it. Usain Bolt, he said he runs under, say, a minute, 100 meters. What is his record? Less than 15 seconds, right? And the training he does before stepping into on the field, hours of training. Hours of training. So let's take our practices very, very what? Serious. Our sister gave us one today, isn't it? What is it? The cosmic eye. Where you breathe through humanity to the source. And then when you are breathing out on the target, you breathe out the attributes of the target to that source. So to the person who has caused you pain, when you breathe into the source and you observe the virtues of the source and you breathe onto that source, that person that has caused you pain, what are you doing to that person? You are healing that individual. And then you are practicing Jesus itself. You are practicing Jesus itself. One of the things that we Ethereans, we go through during this time is the crucifixion of the ego through pain transmutation. The ego, another big thing. Another big thing. We all have egos, don't we? Oh, you don't have one? Yeah. We all have egos, right? And sometimes our egos makes us feel we are unique, we are different, we have to be heard. Sometimes your ego may make you feel I am more important than another person. That is what the ego does to you. In the allegorical story of the journey from Egypt to the promised land, we know Pharaoh, when everyone had stepped back, Pharaoh kept what? Going, isn't it? And when he kept going, what happened to Pharaoh? He drowned, right? That is the ego. We signify that Pharaoh to what? Ego. Sometimes your ego can make you go certain places where you realize at the end of it all, no, I shouldn't have been there. And I heard a very beautiful acronyms of ego. How do you spell ego? E-G-O, isn't it? So it's edge, God, what? Out. Now, in a theory machine, what do we refer to as God? Three things.
Love, intelligence.
Creativity, love, and what? Intelligence. That is what we term as what? God. So the creative, loving, and intelligent power behind all of creation is what we term as what? God. So when we are urging God out of a situation that we face, it means we are urging creativity what? Out. We are urging intelligence what? Out. And we are urging love what? Out. That means we are urging Christ out of the situation. Today, we are dying to what? Our own self. And we are urging God what? In the situation. And we are working with the frequency of the moment. And as we are working with the frequency of the moment, we are springing forth to our organic self. The self that knows God as itself. That is what we are doing now. So you see, this is a moment where Christians are supposed to do so much for themselves. They are supposed to do so much for their own salvation. However, something else is happening. They will go to church today, and what will they do? They will go and curse what? The devil. They will go and curse their what? Their enemies. Some of them will go with cutlasses, trying to butcher the devil and butcher their enemies. For how long would we butcher the devil? And for how long will we butcher our enemies and they will still rise up? It's like the power in the supposed blood is not able to fight the devil and to fight the enemies. Jesus said, love them who what? Persecute you. So when we are urging God in, it means in whatever situation that we face, we are allowing creativity to come to bear. We are allowing intelligence to come to bear, and we are allowing love to come to bear. I watched a small video in which a veterinarian was trying to administer injection on a certain dog. And the dog was barking. Whoa, 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 whoa. Was like the dog wanted to bite this man. But this man, in a very subtle way, was trying to stroke this animal. He tried over several times. When he was going, the dog wanted to bite. After several attempts, he got a touch on the animal. And then after several strokes, the animal was calmed. And he was able to what? Administer the injection on this animal. When we urge God in whatever situation that we face, what happens is God certainly reveals itself. Sometimes when we allow our human self to take center stage, we lose the power of our spiritual being. The power that is behind us. The strength that is behind us. If I don't ask God to give you strength too, let God be your what? Your strength. And when the wholeness of God is your strength, you realize there is nothing that is what? Beyond your reach. So we need to what? Work with the ego. It is, I call it the straw. The last straw with which you have to work with. When you are able to crucify the ego and let God arise as your being, what more can happen? To man, they will say, why do you allow this person to disrespect you? Why do you allow this person to do this to you? They will be pushing you. They will be pushing you. Go and do this. Go and do that. Go and do that. And then you lose your Christ consciousness. But when you contemplate, you pause a moment and you contemplate the consequences of whatever action that you are taking, you realize you are much better off to urge God in than to what? Urge God out. One of the things that affects our ego is pain. Yes, pain gets us to, it moves our egos. That is what pain does. And for us to transmute this pain, remember what the scientists have come to understand and appreciate. You cannot destroy energy, can you? You can only change the use of that energy, or you can transform it into what? Something else. So, this is what we do here. It's part of the practice, right? Let's say you want to die to that self of anger, right? To that self of jealousy. You cannot destroy this energy until that positive intention behind that energy is achieved. You cannot. So that anger that you are feeling, you cannot transmute that anger until that positive intention of that anger is achieved. Let's say we're going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with my partner, and then I'm already done, dressed, ready to sit, to move. I am in the car, and she's now doing her makeup, right? I'm running late. I have to be there on time. But she's now doing... Anger is setting in. I pick up my phone. I call her. And I blast her. Big time. So the anger is still what? It's still there. It's me. It's in me. Oh, blazing. Anger blazing. Big time. But hey, what is that anger seeking to achieve? The anger is seeking that my partner finishes on what? On time. So what can I transmute this anger to do? Oh, bless her to be on time. What are the frequencies of life that are always on time? The sun, isn't it? So breathe into the sun. And as you breathe into the sun, and you capture the attribute of the sun, which is what? Time consciousness. When the sun is supposed to rise at this moment, it will what? It will rise. So when you are breathing into the sun and you are focused on that attribute of the sun, breathe it into your partner. Just do that. And as you do that, you see that, oh, you become relaxed. You become free. The anger goes down. You have transmuted what? That anger. So today, we have a lot to do. We have so much to do on ourselves. We have to die to that old self. And we have to rise to that new us. The new us that expresses our Christ consciousness. And hence I said, after the teaching, we will come to understand when you die to that self, that is not you. When you die to that self, that is artificial. It's not you. And you rise to that self, that is what and who you are. It's good, isn't it? And hence we call it what? Good Friday. Isn't it? Excellent. So, are we ready to be able to give ourselves that practice? The practice that is needed for us to be able to die to that old self and replace it with something anew. You remember a story in the Bible where they said, if the spirits in you goes away, they will go. The evil spirit, yes, let's put it that way. The evil spirit in you, they will go away. They will travel, and they will go. Perhaps they won't find anywhere to go. And they will tell themselves, oh, wait, let me go back. I came from Antonina. Let me go back to see if the room that we were staying is empty. If they come and it's empty, they say, hey, let's go back and call more of the spirit. So that when we come, this time around, she won't be able to move us away. They will come and fill that space. Overload. Right now, the things that you were doing previously, that even you thought, hey, this one is deadly and you wanted to die of that. Now you are doing it 10 times because they went and called their friends to come back to that room. So when you die to that old self, you need to replace it with something what? Anew. The Christ self. Awaken to that Christ consciousness. So that when they come, the light is already what? Blossoming in you. And when the light is so blossoming in you, what then happens? They have nowhere to stand. For the very moment darkness enters the light, there is no leg for darkness to stand on. So today, we have come to the awareness, working with the energy of the moment to die to our old self. Our old self that makes us live more human, to our spiritual self that makes us live in divine what? Consciousness. And on this note, I will say, God bless you. Well, shall we enter into our transformational meditation? Sitting upright with our hands on our laps. With your next in-breath, gently allow your eyes to close. It's a season where new things are springing. New things are being born. And working with the season, we are to die to our old self and rise to our God consciousness. What stood out in the message for you? In what areas have you urged God out? And in what ways are you intending to use the message to urge God in those situations? What of you are you seeking to crucify this season? What of your life are you seeking to cause its death? And what are you rising in after the causing the death of that? Feel you, taste you, smell you, touch you, hear the sound of you, the new you that has sprung after the old you is dead. Feel that joyful new you, the new you that has surrendered to God. Is allowing God to express in every moment of your life. What revelations came through in the course of the message? Revelations are things I did not say, but it flashed on your mind. Perhaps you were thinking of a situation in which you urged God out, and that revelations came through. In what ways do you seek to use these revelations to enhance your evolutionary journey? Experience the beauty, the joyful new you, the divine new you that has emerged from this revelation you have used. Brethren, we get ready to end this session in the knowing that just as we are working with the frequency of the moment, we are dying to the self that edged God out in our encounters, and we are rising in consciousness as we edge God in. We edge the creative power of life, the intelligent power of life, and the loving power of life in every encounter of our lives. It is a beautiful act. Welcome yourself back once again to your glorious body temple. Feeling every sensation in your glorious body temple once again. Feel you present here in the temple. Feel the warmth around you. And with your next deep in breath, holding it